Jeff Levering on the program, Brewers broadcaster. He was hired to do radio, and now he barely does radio. Been doing a lot of TV. I want to talk to you about broadcasting, but I guess I'll ask you some Brewers questions. First of all, how are you? Good to see you.
Likewise, it's great to see you too, Bart. I miss hearing you on the radio every day, but this is great. I'm honored to be on. But no, things are great. It's finally nice outside, and we get to enjoy being in Wisconsin in the summertime. I know it only lasts for like a week and a half, but that's okay.
Yeah, it's
fired up.
Short. It's short and painful. That's why you got to get to the ballpark. Plenty of good seats still available down at American Family Field. We're recording end of May 2023, just for historical purposes.
Mm-hmm.
Brewers in first place at this point. I think the club has gone through some injuries, especially on their pitching staff. I think that, the young guys have contributed, but then there's been some injuries there. They might be having some problems hitting lefties. What's new? Where the Brewers are at through 2 months, do you think that anything is changed in terms of their outlook of what the season could be? Because at the beginning of the season, I thought there's a wide range of possibilities. I'm not sure that anything's really changed to that point yet.
Yeah, I think it's still a work in progress. With the full complement of the roster, I think that this is a different team. Of course, if you have Brandon Woodruff for more than 2 starts, it's a different team. If Wade Miley doesn't get hurt, if Aaron Ashby doesn't go down in spring training without throwing a pitch, if Eric Lauer was Eric Lauer of last year, I think it's a different story. I think the bullpen was a work in progress at the beginning of the season. You didn't know who was going to make the team out of spring training. And I think that they've overperformed, and they've done a really nice job and solidified a handful of spots at the back end of the bullpen. Devin Williams has been great. I think the questions about the offense are still there, and how consistent this offense can be. I think that they were super dynamic early in the season when they had Garrett Mitchell in the lineup still. Joey Weimer wasn't an everyday player. Bryce Terang, I think, has played great defensively, but listen, these guys are learning at the big league level, and it's not an easy thing to do. I think that there's just a lot of inconsistency within the offense, and that's what we saw last year with this team too. And I don't know if those questions have been answered 100%. Is the division soft? Probably, but that's a good thing for the Brewers as they're going through this, as we're at the end of May, historically speaking.
Yeah, just in case anyone time capsules this. Mm-hmm. The Brewers have never won a championship, as we know. And as a lifelong Brewer fan, I've stopped making that my success failure mark. My new success failure mark is any season where they don't say, well, when this guy comes back at the trade deadline from injury, it's kind of like an acquisition. We haven't done it yet, but I feel like it's coming. That phrase more than any, my God.
Oh, for sure. That is, when Brandon Woodruff comes back, it's like making a trade, or when Wade Miley comes listen, it's true. And it wouldn't
No, it's not true. It sucks.
No, it does suck. It does suck. But then you get him healthy for the final few months of the season. And I get it. It's a frustrating phrase, but it wouldn't be a phrase if it wasn't true, right?
Oh,
it's
God.
like, they're like cliches. Cliches wouldn't be cliches unless they were true for the most part. God willing, good things will happen. It's true. Yeah. So I understand the frustration, but there's just so much day to day that happens in baseball, and things can change on any given day. You just never know what's going to happen. And listen, the Corbin Burns injury, the pec thing could have been so much worse in Seattle, right? And he ended up not missing a start. Imagine if that is worse. What happens if he tears his pec by reaching for a guy on a tag and a play that he picks a guy off, right? Stuff happens all the time. I do think that there will be changes. I think that Matt Arnold and his group are going to make some changes at some point. They're going to improve this roster. Guys will get healthy. Craig Counsell is going to continue to be Craig Counsell and get the best out of his players. And I think it's going to be a successful season. But hey, listen, just wait until the guys come back from injury, Bart. Just wait.
Why make a trade when we can just get everybody hurt in April and then they all come back at the end of July?
Yeah, it's tread water, right? How long can you tread water? How long can you egg beater? Have you ever played water polo, Bart? It's
I
hard
did.
to egg
I used to
beater.
swim, Jeff.
Dude, it is hard to egg beater, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, it's a tough game.
Strong quads.
I was bad at it, and swimming.
But you can
and
do
track.
this, right? You can throw like this really well.
I could, yeah, very well.
Yeah,
That was the one
yeah.
skill. Talking water polo with Jeff Levering. Question you probably got before regarding the rules and the time change. From a broadcasting standpoint, do you feel like was it hard to basically it just kills the amount of downtime you have? I would think it makes it easier just in terms of when I've done play-by-play, the less I have to sit there and come up with other stuff. If I can I just want to call the action.
Yeah.
And so sure, a story or two we might not hear it, but I would think that it would be a good adjustment. Have you adjusted to it? Was there an adjustment?
There was a little bit of an adjustment, but I'll say this, having Wade Miley in 2018 and Brent Suter for the previous 7 years kind of trained me for what these innings are going to be like, because those guys just work. It's hard on the radio side because we have so many ads that we need to get into, and everything under the moon is sponsored. So you have to make sure that you call the action and then make sure that those sponsors get in the appropriate time, so you're not waiting an extra inning to get the doubles read in or the stolen bases read in. So it's a little tougher on the radio side. Are your stories going to be shorter? Sure. But I'm okay with being more concise. Your word count is a little bit lower, but I think the game is better. And I think as broadcasters, we're more locked in. We're paying attention. We're not sitting there on our iPads or on our laptops and researching stuff. And we do that a little bit, but it's okay. What exactly do I need to know so I can find it really fast and not miss a pitch? Because you never want to miss a pitch. I think it's better for fans too. And will they miss a whole inning? Like if they went to the bathroom in the second inning yesterday, they missed an entire inning because there was 13 total pitches, 7 in the top half, 6 in the bottom half. They missed an entire inning. But I think for fans, they're more locked in. They're not sitting there in their phones and getting bored and everything else. I think it's just good for everybody. And it's good for the players too, because they're not on their feet as much. I think as the season progresses, they're going to stay, and I say this because there's been so many injuries already, but they will stay more healthy, especially the position players moving forward, because they're not on their feet as much.
Well, this is no longer a baseball conversation. Now it's strictly broadcasting because that's what I'm interested in. As a guy who's done play-by-play sparingly, baseball I've probably done, I was going to say 100, but I think it's more like 50, but I think it's more like 25.
Okay.
So first question, because you do a lot of radio, but you do a lot of TV.
Yeah.
Does that need to be a different brain? I would think it's like when I do local and then when I would do national, but I don't know. I think for you, it would be different because of how people are. I'm still doing radio in that case. You're the vehicle for how the story's being told. And of course, there's a different way to call TV and a different way to call radio. Mm-hmm. Is that a flip of the switch for you, or have you like blended into one style, or what is that like for you?
No, it is different. I am not as descriptive on TV because you can see everything, and it's the general. Listen, when you're on TV, you are the framework of the painting because everybody can see the painting. All you're doing is giving the outside brushstrokes, right? Whereas when you're listening on the radio, I have to be your eyes, I have to be your ears, I have to describe everything. You want to know if it's a 17 hopper to short or if it's a one hop bullet that Adames has to dive for. Like you have to describe it more so that in your mind's eye you can imagine what it's like, right? So on TV, you're seeing everything, and the role is different too as a play-by-play guy. On radio, as a play-by-play guy, you are the star because you are describing all the action. On TV, the analyst is the star, supposed to be the star. I want to make sure Rock sounds as good as he can.
Rock is the star. Rock's
for sure. He is a superstar, and Tim is a star, and Vinny is a star, and that is their role. They are the experts, and my job is to make sure that they are set up in the best possible way so that they can be the best version of themselves. Do we get the calls? Yeah. Do I get to say it's gone, home run, or here's the big double play? Yeah, I do. But they're the ones that need to describe the action and why things happen. So that's where it's different for me. I'm not analyzing replays. I'm not analyzing swings. On the radio, I kind of am, but I'm doing it in my own way to where it makes sense. So is it a different style? Yes. Am I less descriptive on TV? Yes, I am. But I'm still providing that little bit of texture to what the painting is as a play-by-play guy on TV.
I just always find that interesting because, and especially like what you're doing right now, it is kind of herky jerky. I mean, you're at the whims of Brian Anderson, essentially.
Yeah, I mean,
he is okay. I'm doing radio today.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's his schedule, and he does 50 games now, and I'm lucky that the Brewers have trusted me to do the rest essentially on TV, right? So he came in, and I did opening day against the Cubs, and then he came in and did 4 games, and then we didn't see him again for almost 2 months. And so I did the bulk of that on TV, which means Lane and Josh work a ton. And, Lane works with Bob at home. And then now I'm doing this whole homestand on the radio. I have an assignment on Saturday that I'll duck out for a day and then come back. But it's different for everybody. And for me, I'm just, listen, at the end of the day, when I'm not on TV, and I love being on TV and I love being on the radio, if being on the radio for 50 games with Bob Uecker at home is my constellation, like, come on, man. Anybody in the world would sign up for that. And I'm lucky as all hell to have been able to do this with Bob for 9 years. I'm in my 9th season doing this, which is even hard to fathom. But listen, it's great. And I love being involved in both. I don't know what it would be like to not do all 162 or 155 or whatever it ends up being for me this year. I don't know my first year when I wasn't doing every game, it was hard. It was really hard to adjust to that because I did every inning of every single game that I ever called in the minor leagues. So to sit back in the back of the booth and tweet from Bernie's Twitter account from my first year when I was at home.
Wow, inside info.
Yeah, watching Uke and Joe Block work, I was like, God, this feels weird. I should be calling this game, but I wasn't. So that was a hard adjustment. So I wouldn't know what it would be like to only do a handful of games now. Because it was tough in 15, that first year.
You're the broadcaster, so I don't, but the word is consolation. You said constellation.
I don't know. I'm searching for the stars here, man.
I'm like, should I be a dick? And then the answer was yes.
Yeah, you are. Thanks.
I decided I was going to be.
The consolation prize.
Yeah. I'm doing a podcast. This is a consolation prize.
Yes.
Do you have your phone out when you're calling games?
It is out. Yes. Just in case. I got 2 kids. I got an 8 and 5-year-old. So just in case of emergencies.
But you have to get other texts that come through that aren't.
Yeah, it happens. Do I respond to them? No.
But
sometimes I do. I do. Sometimes.
Does it throw you off?
No, not really. I'll give you this story. So in 2019, when the Brewers are making that run, right? They had just lost Christian Yelich in Miami, and then they go to St. Louis, right? And Ryan Braun in St. Louis on a 3-2 pitch with 2 outs in the top of the 9th hits that grand slam, right? You remember that?
I do.
So at that exact moment that Ryan Braun is hitting the grand slam with 2 jerseys on because he was wearing Yelly's jersey underneath, right? I was getting text messages from my wife because my son had just been hit in the face with a baseball bat and needed stitches and was going to the hospital. So all of that is happening. My son is in the middle of going to the hospital. Bronny is having this great moment and trying to lift this Brewers team to the playoffs with Christian Yelich having shattered his kneecap after fouling a ball off it. And my son, like, that stuff happens. That's real life. Yeah. These are things that are going on while I'm trying to call a game. Not easy.
Yeah, I got mine out. And like, cause when I'm doing like a radio show now, if I'm working on CBS, I have my computer, but I'm an Apple man. So my phone's attached to my computer and all that. And I'll get texts that are so irrelevant. I think what I always do then is I like panic, but then I just like repeat what I was saying.
Yeah.
But I just gotta, I don't know what the solution is. And sometimes it's my wife and I'm like, oh no, this is the reason I haven't. It's like, where is the event that he has to go run at? Where's the park?
Just
I
want to
don't.
let you know that you need to do the dishes when you come home, honey.
Yeah. Nah, I was gonna say like, where is the sugar? But God, I don't think I've cooked one since we've been married. So she's a great cook, which I didn't know when I married her. Great surprise. All right,
That's a game changer.
it's awesome. If you were to take every broadcast you've ever done and sit down and score them cumulatively, what do you think is your strongest inning?
Oh man.
Yeah.
Of all of them,
All time.
the strongest inning I've ever done,
No,
or
no.
cumulative,
Like,
like
are
the
you
inning
best
that
in the first inning or the seventh inning or this is the one question I wanted to ask you.
I bet cumulatively
Yeah.
that I am my best in the ninth.
Ooh, that's good.
I would say that that's where my strength is at the end. I would say my least, the least number is one. It takes me like a couple of batters to get into a game.
So you just
So
get better as the game goes on?
I think so. I think in the first inning, you're so consumed with setting the game up.
Yeah.
Right. There's so many different elements on TV. Like we got pitchers, we got defense, we got lineups. You got to do managers and all these different things. There's so many moving parts. It can get a little convoluted. So the actual mechanics of calling the game are a little lost because you're trying to catch up. It feels like, and same goes for in the first inning. So I would say that ninth is when I am at my best.
When I've done baseball games, and the games I've done has been like nothing like a full season. It's been radio, do Kewaskum softball, or fill in on a Northwoods league, whatever. And so a lot of these guys I don't know, and you do your cramming and your research. And I'm so bad at keeping book, it's not second nature to me.
Mm-hmm.
So the first couple innings, I'm like, I have the stats to say, so that's good. And then in the fifth inning, I've kept track of like one or two at bats. But then by the eighth or ninth inning, I'm trying to tell you like what this guy did in his first three at bats, and I don't know what I wrote. And then I'm so like I'm like focused on that then I like miss a play. Basically, there's a reason I've only done about 50 games.
That's where you just gotta lock in. You lock in on what's going on in the field, and you just hope and pray that you remember what somebody did. Right. That's when I first got into this, scoring the game at the same time. I've been scoring games forever since I was 4 or 5 years old. Mom and dad taught me as we would go to games and stuff, and then I would score in between innings of little league games, just to get the mechanics right. So then when I got this job, I had to relearn how to score because I needed to score like Euchre scored. So I had to change my language, which was different. That was really hard because he needs to learn. It needed to be uniform to what Bob did. And now that's the way that I score games. I don't even remember what I used to do when I scored games because I just score the way Bob scores. But you can get yourself caught up in the moment and then you forget to write down what happened. So at the end of every break, and it goes back to our text message conversation, right? I try and leave those alone until the inning breaks. I know I got 90 seconds. I can do a quick check. Is that an emergency? Nope. I can leave it alone. Okay. Did I miss something in the scorebook? Okay. I can go back and I can remember this is what happened. And that's when I do that. And you total it up if you miss something in the moment.
How much, let me ask you one about baseball before. I personally have noticed, and this is Jeff Levering. This is not about me, but my name's right there. So it is my show.
It is your show.
Last year and the last 100 years, I feel like this year I've been less following every game day to day, which I'm mad about myself. I think baseball is a thing where if you watch it's like any addiction. If you watch 3 in a row, you're watching the fourth one.
Yeah.
If you're trying to quit something, once you make that third day, it's easier to not do it on the fourth day.
Sure.
And but one of the it might be because I'm not doing it for a job anymore. I think that's a big part of it. Also, I'm having a hard time this is the same way with the NBA and really all these sports. The NBA now, if you're 10th in the standings, you have a shot at the playoffs. and baseball's now 6. And so I look at all these teams that, like, everyone's freaking out about the Cardinals struggling. Does it matter? I mean, yeah, the A's are but the A's are bad. They're going to be bad. They're going to be the White Sox. I don't know what is happening with them. But for a lot of these teams, like the Padres are struggling, and we're not even close to the time where, like, there's heavy stakes on these games yet. Yet at the end of the year, if you're 89 and 73 and you're 1 win out, well, you needed one of these games. So they're all equally important. But because the playoffs are so big, I think that it's watering down regular seasons. And I almost want to go back to my favorite team ever, the 92 Brewers. They had all the stars, but then you had, like, Darryl Hamilton and I think Glenn Braggs was maybe on that team. But all these guys, Pat Listash, Rookie of the Year, hit a bunch of steals. They won 92 games, but they didn't make the playoffs because only 2 teams did, the AL East winner and the AL West winner. I think I'd almost go back to that to make the regular season more important. So what I'm saying is I'm upset about all sports and the playoffs are great, but they're watering down regular seasons. And I don't know if that's just me or if that's, like, if baseball's feeling that or not.
Yeah, I think that you make a good point. And I know where you're coming from with it, right? So your team was the 92 Brewers. One of my favorite teams to follow was the 93 San Francisco Giants, who won 103 games and didn't make the playoffs because they were in the West with the Braves, and the Braves ended up winning the West by a game. They got Mike Piazza in his rookie year, hits a home run off of Solomon Torres, again, former Brewer great. Wow. And the Dodgers beat the Giants on the last day. Don't just beat them, but beat the hell out of them. And the Braves went on, and of course their dynasty continued. But that was Dusty Baker's first year as a manager of the Giants. But I remember that going, oh my God, how do you win 100+ games and you don't make the playoffs? That's garbage, right? It was almost, but it was fun a couple of years ago when the Giants beat the Dodgers in the West, and both teams won like 108 and 107 games. But one of those teams was a wild card team, and they had to go play one game. And if the Cardinals would have beat the Dodgers, then they go and play and win 107 games, a franchise record for them. And then they could have been bounced from everything in one game. I think that's fun. That's fun to watch. It puts a lot of pressure on the one game at the end of the season. The regular season
game 160. All I have to do is say game 163.
Exactly.
And every Brewers fan's pumped up. And, I was fortunate enough. I was covering that game and got to do everything. And it was amazing. What an experience.
How fun was that clubhouse, right? They tore up the clubhouse. Awesome. They had to go build a new one because the Brewers did it on one day, and then the Rockies came back the next day and destroyed it even more. So again, I think that the regular season games, listen, there's going to be a Tuesday in June where we're sitting there and we're going, oh my God, this game, but that game might be the difference in the season.
We're just talking about this. Whenever we do this, it's always Tuesday. The day
it's always a Tuesday.
It's always a Tuesday.
Freaking Tuesday, man.
What's wrong with Tuesday? Why is Tuesday getting no respect?
Sure, but you're talking about these teams, and last year it was the Phillies. The Phillies weren't good until August. And then they go on this 2-month stretch, and then they go to the World Series. You knew that roster was going to be good in May, but they didn't put it together until August. So, again, even the Nationals team, when they won the World Series in 2019, they weren't worth a damn until August. Mm-hmm. They were like 10 games under 500 in June. And then they go and win the World Series in 2019. So, I think baseball, more than anything, you need to have those games. You need to try and stay healthy. You need to have those opportunities. Can you dig yourself in a hole? Absolutely you can. You can't win a division in April, but you can lose one.
Yeah.
I think the Cardinals are going to be fine. They're a good team. They can hit. I don't know if their pitching is going to hold up, but I think the regular season's great. I think baseball, more so than the NBA, guys don't do the load management stuff. You might get a day here and there, but you don't have somebody.
Yeah, baseball they still play. Series. It's easy to go play the next day. The NBA is in trouble.
It's really hard.
Regular season they're in trouble.
Yeah, it's really hard. You almost have to have like a 70 game minimum if you're a superstar. almost. Like it's hard to watch the NBA, and I admit that it's hard to watch the NBA until you get to the playoffs. I could watch baseball every day, even that random Tuesday in June.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of random Tuesdays in December where you can find Jeff on FS2 calling DePaul and Creighton.
Also true.
So
Also
is that you're not doing anything else right now? It's basketball sometimes in the winter, maybe a Big Ten game, right?
Yeah, so I did like 30 basketball games last year, and I've done about 30 every year since I've been here. And then I added football to my schedule last year. I did about 5 football games for Fox and for the Big Ten Network. So I'm kind of doing a little bit of everything.
Do you like those as much?
I love them. I see, for me, I love baseball, and baseball is my passion. I know it the best. I played it the longest. I love basketball. I love the college game, especially conference games, Big East, Big Ten games. There's nothing better, in my opinion. I think that's a blast. And then football, I've gotten more into football recently. I've always loved the NFL. College football was never really my thing growing up. Being in Sacramento, we didn't really have a college football team. I rooted for Oregon State because my parents went there, but I had no other allegiance other than that. So, I mean, I didn't grow up with college football on Saturdays and caring about it. But now I'm in Big Ten country, and I love watching Big Ten football. I love doing some, the Mountain West Conference. I did a few games last year, San Diego State, Fresno State, where they air it out, handful of Pac-12 games over the last few years, which is kind of watered down. But I think college football, the NFL, they're great, but I love doing college football and college basketball too. They're great.
Last one, is there a sport that you would not want to do?
Hockey.
Dude, yes. How does anyone do hockey?
I give hockey play-by-play guys and gals the utmost respect. It is so hard. First, I don't know the game well enough. I would really have to learn the game better. But the line changes, the speed, the names, like Sims, man. Sims is great doing the Admirals. He is so fun to listen to.
He is amazingly good, yes.
That's amazing. I could never do that. I couldn't do it. Maybe if you gave me a year to get good at it, maybe. But even then, I would really struggle doing hockey.
I can do soccer better than anybody, but there's no audience. So it's like, that sucks.
I've never done soccer play-by-play. I've done soccer public address, but that's about it. Totally different. You don't say a lot doing public address.
I'm doing it this summer for Forward Madison FC. Come out to a game.
Love it.
Yeah.
I love it, man.
Mm-hmm. Stop it. There are 5 minutes of stoppage time. Stoppage time brought to you by Dahmer Industries or something. Stupid.
Echo brought to you by Antonio's Pizzeria.
There it is. Jeff, I appreciate your time, man.
You got it. Hopefully you got all your questions answered. I'm sure we could have done this for an hour, but
anytime. Well, I'd rather not do it too long and then maybe use another favor again down the road is what.
There you go. Yeah.
Bigger moment in Brewers history, if they win a championship or if they rehire Tim Shea.
Win a championship, unequivocally.
Oh man! All right.
Timmy
he says hi. He wanted to say
hi, Timmy.
All right, Jeff. Thank you so much.
You got it, Bart. Be well, buddy. We'll see you down the line.